forgiveness, what happens when you do forgive someone? If you're really able to let go of a wrong that somebody did to you, whether they came and apologized or whether they didn't. If they come and apologize, it's easier, but even sometimes when they didn't, we've been able to forgive and let go. What have you noticed happens to your heart when you're able to do that, or to your being? Anyone? Yes?
Yeah, I experience peace.
You experience peace, yes?
And the rumination in my head goes away.
Right, we stop chewing on the bone, yes? Anyone else?
Reconnect with that person.
We reconnect with that person. I heard you say your heart opens. Yes, there's expansion in the heart again. Yes?
Softening.
Softening. Softening of the heart. Alhamdulillah. So this forgiveness creates expansion and overcomes the quality of separation in our own nafs. However, there are some things, some wrongs, some things happen in our life that are so big that we're not able to forgive them. We're not able to forgive. That happens sometimes. Such a great harm is done to us that we can't find it in our heart to forgive. Now, Allah does not ask us to forgive everything. Allah does not expect us to be able to carry everything or forgive everything. But what Allah does ask from us is to at least try to make the first move towards forgiveness, to have an attitude to forgive, to have an intention to be able to forgive, even if we can't completely forgive. So this means opening a little space in our being for forgiveness and giving forgiveness a chance within us. The things that we can't forgive after we've done this, the things that we still can't forgive, we give them to Allah, and inshallah, Allah is able to give them back to us in time in a way that we can forgive them. Allah can take them and transform them for us and transform our hearts so that we can forgive, maybe. So Allah doesn't ask us to forgive everything, but at least to have the tendency to partly forgive, for that to be our attitude, to have a forgiving attitude in the world. There's a beautiful quote that I like, that I encountered the other day from an Indian Sufi called Nizamuddin Auliya. He says, if someone places a thorn in your way and you place another thorn in his way, pretty soon there'll be thorns everywhere. So I like that. So as we said, if we can't forgive somebody, we're in a prison and we remain strongly connected to that person and that event. So forgiveness gives us freedom. It frees us from the person who's done wrong to us. If we can't forgive, it leaves a black dot on the level of our nafs. This separation that it creates within our nafs. Because on the level of the soul, there's actually no wrong. So nobody wrongs us at the level of the soul, because the soul is pure light. So it's at the level of our nafs and our heart that these things happen. And it's on the level of our nafs, as we all know, that the transformation takes place. These stations that we walk through, they're stations of the nafs. If you read He Who Knows Himself Knows His Lord, because the nafs and the soul, it's the same word for both. And the stations are really a description of our soul, our self, and nafs as it transforms. So it's at the level of the nafs, the level of the transformation can come, the purification of our nafs brings us to a place where we're able to forgive. Now, forgiveness is a process like any great thing in our life. So I'm going to talk about the process of forgiveness. There are 4 divine names, and I'm sure you all know what they are. 4 of Allah's 99 names to do with forgiveness. There's Arafar, Arafur, Atawab, and Alafu. This is a process, this forgiveness that we work towards. It doesn't always happen in a moment. In fact, I don't know about for you, but for me, if something has really hurt me, I have to go away and sit with it and sit with my own heart first and turn to Allah and let my heart deal with the pain. And then I've just noticed sometimes with things, just the passage of time, it's working, I guess it's working inside of me without my consciously thinking about it. But sometimes we have to consciously sit down and go through this process to forgive. Because forgiveness gives us a connection to our essence. So there are many rivers of forgiveness, the divine names, or the rivers back to the ocean, that come from the ocean of oneness that we carry in us. And the first two of these rivers are Arafar and Arafur, both from the same root. Arafar, the first one, means, this is the one we use to have an attitude of forgiveness. So Arafar helps us develop an attitude of forgiveness. So this is more general than Arafur. This is what we use to open up that little space within us when we can't forgive. We use Arafar to open up a little space in our being. It sort of lets in a little light, for forgiveness to even have a chance. So Arafah means to have an attitude of forgiveness, connects us with Allah and helps us to be in that quality of forgiveness. First, the forgiveness of ourselves, because there are many mistakes that we make consciously and unconsciously throughout the day. That's why the Prophet Muhammad, alayhi salatu salam, the perfect man, he's recited Astaghfirullah 70 times every day. And some say that we humans make at least 500 mistakes a day, many of which we don't realize. I believe it. So having the attitude of Arafah towards ourselves does not mean to be in the quality of unawareness. It means to forget the shame, just to see what we've done without shame, and then to do tawbah, to wash it within ourselves. Not to be trying to rationalize it, say it was okay, this is why I did it was their fault. Or this is why I did it, it's okay, which is what the nafs try to do. But to be aware of it without shame and to accept it, okay, this is within me, I did this. Let me bring Arafah in to forgive myself and to ask Allah to forgive me. So it enables us to look at it in ourselves in a realistic and compassionate way. But on the outer level, we need to give an expression of repentance due to the mistake that we've done. So on the inner, we're accepting it without shame. This is what I did, being aware this is what I did, and turning to Allah and asking for forgiveness on the inner. But if there's something on the outer that needs to be rectified, we still need to, on the outer, do the deed that rectifies it, even if it's just to apologize. So on the outside, our deed should be in a way that shows that we know that we've done wrong and that we're trying to change our way of dealing with things. And we do this by doing a good deed. So there's a hadith from the Prophet alayhi salatu salam that says, when you do a bad deed, let a good deed follow it in order to remove the bad deed. So for example, if we run over a cat, for example, then we've taken a life. So we need to do a good deed that does something to feed life, to give life. So for example, we could go work in a kindergarten, we could feed the poor. A good deed doesn't necessarily have to match exactly the bad deed that you did, but you try to do a good deed somehow in the same realm. So if you've taken life or you've harmed life, you try to do something that feeds life and brings life in. So we all need to be forgiven, and forgiving and helping someone is even greater. So forgiveness itself is one of the greatest qualities that helps us to bring transformation, because with forgiveness comes understanding, from understanding comes acceptance, and from acceptance can come returning to the love. I don't know if you all have noticed, I've noticed that I find it easier to forgive the people I really love. Anybody else find that? Yeah. Did you want to say something?
Yes. Isn't it more important to forgive those that you don't love, that trigger you?
Well, I didn't say it was more important to forgive the people we love. I said it was easier.
Oh, I see.
Yes, it's definitely important to forgive those that trigger us, absolutely, because they're Allah's face. When we're triggered, that's Allah showing us something about ourselves, and that's something for us to look at and learn from. So absolutely. But it is easier to forgive those you love. I mean, particularly for me, at least, my children, you know how children are. They can hurt you, and they can really trigger you. But I've found that I'm helpless in front of my love for my children, because, even the worst things that they've done that really hurt me, and some of them have been awful. I can't stay angry with them forever, and my heart just forgives them because I love them. And ultimately, the love is what's important. Nothing else really matters. So the more we can develop that love within ourselves for our fellow human being, the easier it is for us to forgive. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that Jesus said that a way to master love is to learn to love your enemy. I thought that was
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, it's part of our Sufi path to know that we're all one, and to, inshallah, learn to love all our fellow human beings. And at the level of the maths, some are easier for us than others, but we have to work at all of them with Allah's help, inshallah. The beauty of forgiveness when we've done wrong, by seeing that we've done wrong, is that we can taste the mercy and compassion of Allah when we turn to ask for forgiveness for us and another. So there's another hadith which is actually a corollary of the first one that I read to you. This hadith says, Allah says, "Come to me with all your wrongdoings and I will forgive you. But the wrongdoings you have done to other beings, I cannot forgive you until you have done a step to change it." So in both of these hadith, Allah is saying, I forgive you the wrongs you've done to me. You forget to pray, you forget to pay zakat, all of these kind of things. When we wrong Allah, Allah forgives us that on the Day of Judgment. But He's saying two different things to us in the ayah. He's saying in both of them, the wrongs that you do, the rights which you owe another remain. And He's saying, I can't forgive you those wrongs until you take a step to change it. That's what He's saying to the wrongdoer. What He's saying to the one who was wronged is, thus forgive one another and enter heaven through my mercy. So He's asking us both to right our wrongs between us and other creatures, and He's asking us when we're wrong to forgive. In these two hadith. But this second hadith is telling us that it's in our interests to forgive, because when we forgive one another, it says, forgive one another and enter heaven through my mercy. So Rafa is the general, and this is what we're reciting when we say Astaghfirullah al-Azim, when we make tawbah. That brings about a general attitude of forgiveness. And then Rafur is useful for taking us into our deepest wounds. So this one's specific. When we recite Rafur, it can take us to our deepest wounds, for deepest wound to be healed. So it's often used when confronted with a deep wound, even one that we may have covered over and forgotten. A rafur can take us there. So if we use this and repeat this, it will help us find find that deep wound and open it up and bring it up into our heart for us to be conscious of it again. And in the Sufi tradition, this is important because this is a path of self-knowledge. So if you have a wound there that you've covered over and forgotten, that's a place where you don't know yourself. And it's a place of separation, actually, and a place where you have probably turned away from Allah and have a mistaken belief about it, but so you're unaware of it. So Arafur will take you into that place and bring it up so that you're conscious of it again. Because there's no human being who hasn't gone through hard times. Stunning sometimes how much hard times we human beings go through. All of us. And we can use Arafur softly and gently to look at that wound that we carry. Because our wounds affect us unconsciously on a daily basis and separate us from our soul, separate us from Allah, because we turn away. So the quality of forgiveness is important to come closer to your true nature and your essence. So we often use Arafah and Arafur together, but actually with all four, we begin with Arafah to come into an attitude of forgiveness, generally for ourselves and others. Then we move to Arafur to go deeper into the self and find our wound that has been put there, to open it up and to bring it up and to heal it, to bring the love to that wound. So doing this step actually helps you forgive others, right? Because it's often that deep wound that won't let us forgive. And that keeps the separation there. So healing the wound then allows us to be more open for forgiving. Atawab, after Arafur comes Atawab, which brings the quality of transformation. Atawab can help us transform. Atawab is the acceptor of repentance. That's the translation, one of the translations of that name. But it's the quality for transforming. After we've set an attitude of forgiveness and worked with our deepest wound, then Atawab will help us to transform our nafs. And we sit with these first three because after the quality of transformation, after we've changed, after we've been able to transform our way of thinking and observing that wound or that wrongdoing, then Allah will send us the quality of Alafu. So Alafu is the strongest name of forgiveness. It's the pardoner. So when you pardon someone, what this is like is it's like the wind that blows the sand across the desert that covers up the footsteps in the sand. So like it washes away the wrong. And it's so strong that after, when Alafu comes in and pardons, you don't even remember, somebody may come up to you and say, I'm sorry, I did such and such. And you're like, oh, did you? You've even forgotten it, yeah. So, by repeating Yarafah, Yarafur, Atawab, we're actually waiting for the divine name Alafu to come to us, to pick us up and to take away the wrongdoing that you have done or that you have received from someone else. Because don't forget, there's no difference which side of the wrongdoing you're on. And you can do astaghfirullah for other people when they've hurt you, because that wrongdoing is in the it's between the two of your hearts, and there is no separation between he and she and me and you. So Alafu will take away that wrongdoing, whichever way it went, from you or to you. So as I said, this is a process of forgiveness. So when we're wronged, we've talked about how when someone hurts us, nobody spoke. We often, Anybody besides me ever have the urge for revenge? Want to get even? Oh, we might want something bad to happen to them, or we feel satisfied if something bad does happen. It's like, see? Or we want to push the other person away. I talked about that before. So we have many different ways of reacting and many pictures as we go, and we often go over and over again through that trauma, chewing on the bone of what happened to us. So it's very important when we're imprisoned in that state to start working with these, because the nafs really doesn't want to look at things. It wants to keep things as they are and to keep us busy with them. And it also wants to protect us by constantly remembering this wrong, to make sure that nothing like that ever happens to us again. You know, from now on I'm going to be on the lookout. I remember I had this conversation with, who was I having? I was having a conversation with my son about somebody who had really lied to me. And I was shocked by it because my natural state is to believe people. Partly because I'm an honest person myself, so when somebody speaks to me, I assume they're an honest person and I believe what they say. And so I was kind of shocked. I'm always shocked and disappointed when someone lies to me. But I remember it was one of my children, I think, talking to me about, well, you know, from now on you need to not believe that, you need to do this, you need to do that, and protect yourself. And I remember it really came, I just said to it came to my heart, I was like, you know what? I'd rather be a person that believes people, you know? It's better for me. I'm happy that I'm a person that believes people. I'd rather go through life being occasionally cheated and disappointed than going through life as a person who didn't trust anybody. So, but that's what the nafs does. You know, once you're hurt and wounded in a certain arena, it tries to protect you in that arena, and one of the ways it does is by making you very defensive and untrustful.